All right, boys and girls, now we're going to move on to estimating differences. We're going to continue also estimating sums. So let's read the text. It's important to know how to find exact sums and differences. It's also important to be able to make good estimates. If an exact answer is not necessary, you can solve problems more quickly by estimating. Estimates help you know whether or not an answer is reasonable. What are some situations in which you can estimate a sum or difference instead of finding the exact number? Oftentimes, I go to Home Depot and we have to estimate the amount of material we need when we're gardening or when we're replacing something in the house, and Home Depot sells big sizes. And when you go there, you make sure you go enough, you get enough of what you need, otherwise you're making multiple trips. So I don't know if you've ever done that with your parents where they go to Home Depot and they need something, but they didn't get enough and they have to go back. Or if your parents or someone is making a recipe at home and they had to go back to the store to get more, or they got too much and now you have a surplus in your pantry or your kitchen. Think of some other times that you've had to estimate or overestimate something without you getting a calculator or pen or pencil out to find the exact. All right, let's begin with identifying some new terms here. I'm sure you might have heard them before. Sometimes you should overestimate or give an estimate that is a bit bigger than the actual value, or overestimate to make sure you have enough. Sometimes you should underestimate or give an estimate that's a bit smaller than the actual value, underestimate to stay below a certain amount. I always estimate when I'm shopping, whether it's groceries or whether it's clothing, or whenever I'm shopping, I always overestimate because I want to make sure I have enough money in my wallet or in an account or in a gift card, because I don't want to come up short and I need to know if I need to pull out another card or some more cash. So I like to overestimate as I'm shopping. I don't know when I've ever underestimated. Maybe the weather. What are some things you've had to overestimate or underestimate? All right, let's look at the first problem, 1.2. Okay, for the problems A through E, everything that we're going to be doing today, we need to answer the question by using estimation and explain our reasoning, just like we did with 1.1. Explain how confident we are in our estimate, in our answer, and for each estimate you make, tell whether it's an overestimate or an underestimate, then explain why you chose overestimate or underestimate. So we're really going to get comfortable with those two terms today. So as always, I made 2 pages of notes, 1, 2, and I'm going to write the word problem and solution. And I want to also remind myself of the 3 things that I need to do. Oh my. I want to, first of all, I want to make sure that I answer the question using estimation. And I also need to explain. I also need to explain my confidence. And I also want to explain, lots of explaining today. Explain whether I overestimated or underestimated. I'm sure one of the questions you are going to be asking is, do I have to write this down? Yes, you have to write this down. Part of processing information is being able to write it down and also reading what you wrote. And you do have to write all of the problems that I write down. A lot of you are turning in work where you're not writing the problems. Some of you are taking screenshots of my work, and that's not the same thing as taking ownership of what you're learning. So please do not take screenshots and submit it. That would be incomplete. Also, it's known as plagiarism, so we don't do that. We're going to write with our own writing. All right, let's look at A1. A1 is Mrs. Edwards is building a dollhouse for her children. She needs to buy wood for the railing on the balcony. The wood is available in 12-inch, 14-inch, and 16-inch lengths. She does not want to waste wood. What length should she buy? And remember, boys and girls, pause whenever you want to. I'm going to draw a little sketch. Miss Edwards needs to construct the railing on the balcony, and the railing is this entire structure. She has the balcony, or she has a balcony there, and then the rest of the dollhouse there. This is 4 1/4 inches. This is 5 1/8 inches. And this is also 4 1/4 inches, because the balcony has 3 rails. So I need to estimate how much of those does she need, 12-inch, 14-inch, or 16-inch. So I need to look at these 3 measurements. Now, you can definitely plug this in and add them just like you did in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, where you just add the whole numbers and then the fractions. But we're taking that a step further this year, and you're estimating. You're getting more comfortable with estimating and visualizing these fractions on a number line. I know that these two equal half. 1/4 and 1/4 is half. Oops. Sorry. Half. And 1/8 is really half of a fourth. So it's really not a lot. But I definitely need a little more than 1/8. And then I can add all these whole numbers, and that would be 8 plus 5 is 13, right? So 13 1/2 plus 1/8. Now, 1/8 is half of a fourth, so I would say 13 1/2 plus 1/4 equals about, if I were to look at this on a number line, here's 13, here's 1/2, and here's another fourth. So maybe 3/4. So 13 3/4 possibly. So she has a choice between a 12-inch piece of wood, a 14-inch piece of wood, or a 16-inch piece of wood. Definitely not 12. 16's too much. And 14 would be just right. But I need to answer these 3 questions. So first I want to answer using estimation and explain. So I answered using estimation and I explained. Now I want to explain my confidence. Okay, there's my confidence. And now explain, did I overestimate or did I underestimate? If you need to copy this down, pause it at any time. Now I need to say whether I estimated or underestimated. And now I explained it. But go ahead and pause it here and copy it down. Okay, let's look at our next problem. Now don't forget, for all of these problems, we have to answer using estimation and explain. Explain your confidence level, and explain whether you overestimated or underestimated. I need more room, so I'm going to turn my page. Okay, so since I turned my page, I need to remind myself what to do, because the other side is no longer in my view. Okay, so let's look at B1. Mr. Chang is making shades for his office. One window needs 1 1/3 yards of material. The other window needs 1 3/4 yards of material. The fabric store only sells whole number lengths of this material. How many yards of the material should Mr. Chang buy? So I'm going to draw a picture. So here he needs, here's his window. He needs 1 1/3. And since we're doing math, let's write the unit of measure. Plus, he needs to have one that's 1 3/4. Just by looking at 3/4, I know that it's 1/4 away from 2. But is 1/3 larger than 1/4? So I know that 1 and 1, 1/3 and 1/4. I know that these two equal 2. Now, 1/3 and 3/4, that's supposed to be 3. How far away is that from 1 full yard? I'm going to draw a picture, a number line. And then 1/3, another third, would actually take us to right over here, greater than 3, maybe a little closer. So it would take us past 3. So since they only sell full yards, 3 yards is not enough. So they need to get 4 yards. So here's the answer. Answer and explain using estimation. Okay, so I explained. Now to explain my confidence. I'm pretty confident. See, I pressed that confident. So did I overestimate or underestimate? Well, I definitely overestimated because he's going to have some left. So go and pause here and copy it down. And I did explain that. So there you go. That is B1. Now this is page 3 of my note. If you notice on the screen, we're going to save C for later. That's going to be something you're going to do on your own. We're going to move on to D1. And I want to remind myself that I need to do 3 things. I need to answer, estimate, and explain. Reasoning. I need to explain how confident I am and explain whether I overestimated or underestimated. All right, so I want to remind myself for that. I'm going to about that. I'm going to do problem D. So let's read problem D. Jasmine is making jam to enter the state fair. Number 1. Jasmine's raspberry jam recipe calls for 4 1/3 quarts of raspberries. She has picked 3 1/2 quarts of raspberries. About how many more quarts of raspberries should she pick? So I want to isolate problem 1. Jasmine needs about 4 1/3 quarts of raspberry. Let's draw a number line. I didn't make enough here. So she needs 4 1/3, and 4 1/3 is right here. But she only picked 3 1/2. So she picked this much. But she needs about this much. So half plus 1/3. All right. So how many more quarts of raspberries should she pick? So about 1/2 plus 1/3. 1/3 is less than a half. So I would say she probably needs to pick about 1 more quart. So yeah, I would say 1 more. That's just easier. All right, so I'm going to answer it. Answer, estimate, and explain my reasoning. Jasmine needs 1 more quart of raspberries. Because she already has 3 1/2 and 1 more quart. Will get her a little more than what she needs. By a fraction. a really small fraction. All right, so I answer, estimated, and explain my reasoning. Explain my confidence. I'm pretty confident. I'm sure this will be more than enough. Because 3.5 plus a 1 is greater than 4 1/3, which is what she needs. This is an overestimation because 4 1/2 is greater than 4 1/3. All right, D2, let's look at D2. Go ahead and pause here and copy it down. Jasmine's mixed berry jam recipe calls for 6 2/3 cups of raspberries. She has 3 1/3 quarts of strawberries, 2 7/8 quarts of blackberries. Does Jasmine have enough berries? If not, about how many more quarts of berries does she need to pick? This is a whole new problem, and I want to make sure that I do everything. I'm not going to rewrite all of this at the top because it's on the same page, but I want to hold myself accountable by putting my squares there. She needs 6 2/3. I'm going to draw my number line, 7 here, 0, and that's 7. I want to make sure I don't make a mistake here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then she needs 2/3. So 2/3 is right here, 6 2/3. Okay, that's how much she needs. So she has 3 1/3, 3 1/3 strawberries, and she has 2 7/8 quarts of blackberries. I marked where 3 1/3 are, and that's her strawberries. But I need to mark where 2 7/8 quarts of blackberries. So I have a little piece of paper here, and I'm going to say this is my 2 7/8. So 2 7/8 is right around here. So it's right around here. So does that get us enough? This is 2 7/8. And she needs 6 2/3. So does she have enough? Is there enough to get to 6 2/3? She doesn't. So it looks like she needs maybe 1 whole quart more, 1 more quart. I think 1 quart's easier than doing like 2/3 quart. I would say she needs 1 more quart. So I'm going to go to the other side. Estimate, answer, explain. So Jasmine doesn't have enough. And then I need to explain my answer. Pretty confident. Jasmine doesn't have enough berries for her jam recipe. She needs no more than 1 quart of berries because she has about 6 quarts, which is about 3 1/3 plus 6, 2 7/8. I'm pretty confident she will have enough because 1 more quart will be a little more than 6 2/3 quarts. This is an overestimation because 7 is greater than 6 2/3. All right, this is not the only way to answer these problems. This is definitely one way, but you will be asked to do problem C on your own, and you're going to get that at a later time. But for now, you're going to complete the notes, submit them, and answer some questions on Edpuzzle. All right, boys and girls,